Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and this is the Sindel Tips and Tricks Guide. So as always in these kind of guides, I'm going to be covering a lot of topics from the basics to more advanced stuff and all points in between. So there will be timestamps in the video description if you want to skip around. So just a heads up. Anyways though, since we're going to talk about Sindel, let's first just talk about the basics and let's go over her special moves. So, Sindel does not have many special moves as part of her base variation before we get into the variation-specific stuff here. She has only 3, but still, they work, they do damage, and hey, you gotta work with the tools you're given, right? So, first up is Main Squeeze, which is an amazing pun, by the way. That's this guy here, back forward 1. And it's the Hair Whip here. So, she whips you good, gives you a kick in the head. If you want to enhance it, you can then get more damage, which, hey, more damage is always good. And you can also choose which direction you want to toss them in. It's as simple as holding back or forward when you're doing the enhanced version. No real trick to it. And screen position, obviously a very, very, very important part of any given fighting game, right? So you're going to be using this a lot, especially if you're in competitive variations 2 and 3, as they don't really have combo ability in the same way Variation 1 does. So a lot of times you're going to be doing basic stuff like this. And that's all you're going to get, and that's fine. Main Squeeze does have pretty high base damage for a special, especially enhanced. So getting like basically 20% off any button press is not the worst thing in the world at all. It's definitely a workhorse. Also very important to note, and we're going to talk about it more later on, it is -7 on block, so it's eminently safe on block even from point blank, but it has a decent amount of pushback as well. So the safety on block will be a factor, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. Our next base special move is the Scream, the classic Sindel Scream here. Back forward 2. Now, just so you know, competitive variation 2 changes it up a little bit. We'll talk about that as we get there. But yeah, it's a mid-hitting move, so no crouch ducking in, no neutral ducking, anything like that. Has a good amount of range for what it is. It's a little on the slower side-ish, but it eats up a massive volume of screen. As it's also incredibly difficult to jump. Many times when you're going in on the enemy doing whatever string, you'll find the enemy jumped over your head and they'll give you a good bop or something like that, right? Not so much with the Scream. The Scream, if they're airborne at all in that vicinity, they're going to get ripped out of the air and shouted down. So now a couple things about the Scream. So one, you can hold it. And when you hold it, while it does not do more damage, it'll do a solid 7% no matter what. As you can see, Devora's kind of holding her head here. When you do the hold version, it is a combo okay state. So similar to like Scorpion's Spear, Sub-Zero's Freeze, right? So if you hold it a little bit, you can notice when you have the aura and you hit him, then okay, it's combo time and you can just combo out. You don't need to spend any extra meter or anything like that. Now, another thing here about that, speaking of meter, is when you're holding it, you can meter burn and you get exceptional range. Like, as you can see here, like, this is not chump change. As you can see here, this is not nothing, right? And she does have a crushing blow tied to this if it hits as a counter hit or as a punish. So you can very easily check people from about 3/4 of the screen with an exceptionally fast hitting move. And if they're in the middle of any animation, you rip them out of it, crushing blow, free combo. Once again, crushing blow is only on punish or counter hit. It's very easy and very reasonable to achieve. And depending on the variation you are, you might not have too much reason to spend bar and neutral anyways. So this is a very strong check at any range, to say the least. Now on top of that, you can cancel the hold. It's quite simple here. So you hold it, and then you hit back and block. So you can do that and cancel out. So say, basic example here, you're going for like 1-1 Scream, right? You can do 1-1 Scream and then cancel out of it and go from there. You can get tricky and try to throw people. So here's a quick little example. It's a little quicker. So you're only -4 in that situation, which, yeah, it's their turn. But you can catch a lot of people sleeping at the wheel in these kind of situations. And that's one of the big deals. So screen canceling, your mileage may vary, to be honest. Like, it's, at best, I'd say it's still a little bit gimmicky. But still, there is applications. But yeah, overall, man, this is definitely one of our big moves here from the screen control it gives you, because it's really big. As you see here, that's basically the edge of the move right there. And now all that's a no-fly zone, no jumping, no nothing. The fact you can hold it for the damage buff, you can hold it and enhance. Like, heck, you can just like do this, hold it, try to threaten some sort of thing, cancel out, and then see what they're going to do and react to it, right? Scream is absolutely one of the best things about Sindel, and probably one of the reasons you're playing her. And our final of our 3 base special moves is the Regal Presence, aka, hey, it's flying, right? So unfortunately, as this is a competitively minded channel, none of the competitive variations have any moves out of flight. So when you have flight, you just have the base flight, and that's it, right? Now, thankfully, you can still do a lot of stuff with it. One, hey, it keeps you in the air, right? So no landing in fireballs. A very basic example is someone could toss a fireball, you jump over it, oh, I'm not going to quite make it, and then go, you know what? There we go. You know, I'm in the air, hanging out. Very good tool to frustrate people, especially if you have a significant life lead. The more you just faff around, all that, more people are going to chase you. When people start chasing you, they tend to either dash in like a madman or just jump in like a madman. And that's when people make mistakes, and that's when you can exploit it. And, of course, it is special cancelable, so you can do it off blocks and that kind of stuff. It's slower. People are going to catch you if you get too crazy doing that kind of stuff here. But other than that, it's mostly a movement tool and to frustrate people. And once again, save yourself from bad jumps because you can catch yourself. The air version happens right away, unlike the startup of the grounded version. So it's really good just, you know, to not jump into the lava, for lack of a better term, right? It sucks that none of the competitive variations have any of the special moves associated with it. But if you do play more casually, hey, set them up, then there's a lot of cool stuff there for you. So let's talk notable normals for Sindel, and honestly, it'll be a little bit of a rough one, because Sindel doesn't have a lot of notable normals. She definitely got stuff like big range, her 4-2, and this 4-2 makes Kotal Khan's look weak in comparison, because she can hit from ranges Kotal Khan could never dream of, right? But it does start in a rockin' 25 frames, right? So you gotta believe in it, because the speed's the thing. Don't be using this move from this range, because people will have to be asleep at the wheel to get hit by this. Let alone the fact that people usually just jamming on down one as hard as they can, right? But still the range. So yeah, it's slow, but it's got the range, so you got to really just play around with and use it in the ranges that's very applicable, which is roughly from here to here. Up close, it will get you smacked in the face, I guarantee. I guess the big one to talk about is back 2. Back 2 is a meterless launcher. Like, I'm launching them, they're combo okay. I didn't have to spend any bar to do it. So, like, if I gotta say anything is a notable normal, this is the one. Because you get all sorts of damage from it. Now, here's the caveat. The move is not the safest on block. So, if you want to do this move here, see, it's negative 17. You do up front, I'm going to say pretty much the entire cast, guaranteed punish. Now, if you want to hit it from the max range, it gets a little more safe, but not a lot. A lot of characters can still easily punch this. Anyone with a forward advancing move like Nightwolf Shoulder, Johnny Cage Shadow Kick, they got you dead to rights. A lot of characters can still full combo you from this range. A lot of characters can get at least, you know, quick special or something. It's gonna be risky. Now, once again, this is a low, though. Since it's a low, we got some stuff to work with here. Because, you know, you have universal hop attacks. Depending on the variation you are in, you might have extra overhead moves. So it being a low, it's something at least. But it's a very risky move, and the reward's not huge because you're not going to get a giant damage combo off it by itself. But still, as a whiff punish, very strong because the move has some decent range to it, as you can see here, right? It does gain backward space. With the characters you can get away with a max distance one, and abuse it, please abuse it, because they can't do a damn thing about it, and you can laugh all the way to the bank, right? With the characters that can punish it, be a little more pulled back on it. Don't go too nuts, right? But still, no one else really has a move like this, right? Moves are backwards, good whiff punish, meterless launch, all that kind of stuff. Definitely a notable normal if there ever was to be a notable normal in this game. So now let's start talking about the competitive variations. And competitive variation 1 for Sindel is splitting hairs. And we have the haircut and the whip and flip. These are our special moves granted to us. So the main thing about this variation is kind of makes Sindel a quote-unquote normal character. As it gives her, you know, kind of basic combo ability here. The EX haircut here, which is what you're going to be using this move for 9 times out of 10, I would say, because it gives you your juggles, and it's just basically, oh, I got my hit confirm, cool, EX haircut, and, you know, then combo out, all that kind of fun stuff, right? That is what this variation is all about. And in that, its use is very basic. Like, there's no arguing it, but whatever, gives you the damage. This is the damage variation, to be sure, and it's because of haircut. Now, whip and flip is very interesting. So this is also an arrow K move, just so you know. You can control your range for a fair bit. About max range of that is right there. So we can have it up close, you know, medium version, and if you hold forward, you get the fire version. Now, sadly, the air versions cannot be extended in the same way. The air version only really has the one version versus, say, you know, far ground version, which goes very far. If the air version could do that, it'd be a whole different ball game, but it sadly cannot. But still, it's useful in quite a few regards because, you know, hey, it's still got some range, right? So this move is a true overhead, so that means you are not ducking this move here because, hey, overhead. So no crouch blocking, no none of that stuff here. You're going to get got if you are crouch blocking. And she already has a natural low starter. That's also a meterless launcher, just so you know. So lows and overheads is kind of a theme in this variation, right? Now, it's not enhanceable, but it does have a crushing blow if they do with a ducking attack as you hit them. And there is applications to that, which we'll talk about a bit later on. But yeah, so basically this variation is just about damage. And utility, not so much, but damage output, absolutely. So competitive variation 2 is loud and clear. And this one definitely has a theme, very heavy on the aerial stuff. One, we have an air-only special move here, the Banshee. It's back forward 3. So, hey, no doing on the ground, right? Air only. And it's a very large hitbox. Now, just so you know, this does not hit full screen. As you see, there's a bit of a range to it, but it's not full screen, so not going to win any zoning wars, right? But it does have a massively tall hitbox that is very difficult to jump over. Now, just so you know, it is a high, right? So that means you can easily neutral duck under it. So that's the thing, keep aware. Now, it is also enhanceable. So as you can see here, I can enhance it, and then I land on top of their head and just can combo out and do all that kind of fun stuff, right? The enhance only comes out on hit, not on block, not on whiff. So if you are inclined to just, you know, just jam on that button, right? Then, you'll only ever get if it hits. So then it works out, hey, easy peasy, right? Now, another move here is basically what I like to call the double jump here. So down, back, 2. I do believe this has a proper name. I always forget it. Deadly Echo, there we go. So Deadly Echo is twofold. It's your big damage thing, because in case you haven't seen the stuff with this variation where you can just, like, you know, jump 2, Deadly Echo, jump 2, and all that kind of stuff, which I'm botching, whatever. This isn't the combo video, so I don't care if I botch it. So it leads to the big damage. And check the companion combo guide if you want to see that kind of stuff, right? And also just a lot of air mobility. Like, you know, once again, just like the flight here, it lets you control yourself in the air. You can get a lot of screen presence as it is a close and far move. So if I hold it, you only get some distance. If I hold far, hold forward, then I'll get even more. So you can mostly just jump from full screen and just, like, get in. If you're the kind of person who gets frustrated easily and, like, okay, I just don't want to deal with fireballs, I don't deal with this, that, and the other, and I just want to get in, like, this is the move for you, because you can get from about 3/4 screen, you can get in from there, right? So it's utility as far as mobility goes. It's the combo monkey move if you want that big, you know, combo video combo. So it's very useful. Now, with those things said here, there's still plenty more to go here. So we have the marching scream here. So it just works like the regular scream, which is changed in this variation. It is, for pretty much all purposes, the same as the base scream, except it is a high instead of a mid, which is strictly worse. Just so you know, it is strictly worse, but it works in all the same ways the base scream does otherwise, right? But the marching scream here, hey, we march while we're doing it, right? It also has a crushing blow attached to it. So you can hold the button, and you just keep trucking along till so many steps elapse, and you go and you scream out. Now, there was some misinformation earlier on in the pre-release cycle where it said 3 steps. It is only 2 steps. That's all you need, and big crushing blow. Once again, check the companion combo guide, all that kind of fun stuff, right? And just like the other screams before it, hey, you know what? You can easily special cancel. Now, this one here cancels a bit differently. Instead of back and block, it's just straight up. Just hit down, costs you 1 defensive bar. And the move is also enhanceable. Now, the enhance this move is a mid. The base version is a high, so once again, you can duck it. The enhance is a mid, and oh my lord, it does, just so you can see here. Let's turn on some blocks. And you can see here, it does quite a bit in chip. That's not nothing. As you see there, that's significant. And it easily circumvents like last breath and all that kind of stuff because it is multiple hits. Now, the thing is, hey, if you look down here at the block advantage, -14, that's not good. So you can make this safe from a range because there's a bit of pushback on the last hit. But if you try to do the scream up close, you're going to get smacked. But still, a lot like a base scream here, very difficult to jump. You can march people down and you can cancel whenever you want. Cancel is fairly quick. You actually recover a lot faster than a lot of other cancels in this game. You can just return to neutral very quick. Block, jump, whatever you want to do, right? But yeah, it's just basically a strong neutral tool. And the main use is like, hey, you just want to walk people down, this is the way to do it. The final of the 3 competitive variations is Royal Edenian. Now this one's a bit of an oddball, but well, it gives you a basic tool that the other variations don't have, because in case you didn't pay attention to anything at all to this point, Sindel does not have a basic projectile like everyone else does in like all of Mortal Kombat history. Everyone has fireballs in Mortal Kombat, even if you're not, a character built around it, right? Well, Sindel doesn't. In this variation, hey, she finally has one. And it's a good one, don't get me wrong. This is one of the best projectiles in the game. The projectile itself is not amazing in terms of like damage, 7%. But still, what the real deal here is Sindel goes very low to the ground. Not only does she easily go under a lot of traditional high projectiles, she goes under a lot of mid projectiles as well. Because she's like as down to the ground as she can be, right? So when it comes to basic projectile war, everyone's just like, okay, we're going to toss our stuff here. Sindel, for the most part, is always going to win out. Now, you can meet her, burn this here, enhance it 9%, and get basically a beam. The projectile will hit a lot faster than it would otherwise. So if you're doing this in like a reactionary way, you can actually catch people tossing their fireball, react, and toss the beam and punish them with that. So it's a basic projectile, but hell, it's a strong one. So that's one of the main reasons, if not the reason, to pick this one. Now the other, one of the other moves here we have, and Lord forgive me, I do not know the name one here, the Royal Trap. The Royal Trap is Air Orb, and you can toss as many of these as you want. It does have a bit of a life duration to it. Now, by itself, as you can see, it doesn't really do anything, and this is air only, just so you know. But what it does do if it's near an enemy is it shoots 5 projectiles. And now you might see here when they're taking damage, that is indeed unblockable. There's no way at all to avoid this damage. They just have to take it if they're near it. Now, one very, very big thing about this move, because this is not how these style of moves tend to work in traditional fighting games. So if I have this move up here, and Sindel gets hit, this damage is still happening no matter what. There's no putting this away. So no matter what, once this thing is laid there, you can hit Sindel, you can uppercut her, you can throw her, whatever you want to do. No matter what, that damage is still happening. So that's a very big deal. And just keep it in mind, especially in low health situations, right? It's baseline too. It's also just good if you have, say, a healthy and they know you gotta chase you. Just just jump back. Just toss a couple of these guys out. They gotta walk into them, take unavoidable damage. I think it's a downright solid move, honestly. And our final special move in this variation is the Low Star Screamer. I just call this a Starfire shot. Says it's very similar to Starfire in Injustice 2. So yeah, you just whip a bunch of projectiles, 3 to be exact. Now, before I get into anything else, I just want to tell you right now, this move interacts weird with anti-fireball stuff, like, Nightwolf Glow, Jade Reflect, all that kind of stuff, in that while they're obviously projectiles, they don't interact with that stuff. It'll hit Jade in their glow, Nightwolf can't reflect it, etc., etc., etc. It just acts weird, so don't be worried at all, like, with an anti-projectile move is what I'm trying to tell you, because this move does not play by the rules. So that said, this is also enhanceable, and when you enhance it, hey, you get a nice little pop-up, and from that pop-up, get your combo on, all that kind of fun stuff. One of the best uses is just in a pure spacing war. When you're going backwards, just jump backwards, and anything they do, if it whiffs or whatever, you can react, just like, say, a Kano Ball, just toss these bad boys out. It is not the safest on block, just so you know. It's about -19. Now, from certain ranges here, especially like a range like this, not a lot of characters can deal with that, right? Like, -18 from this far, not a lot of characters can deal with that. But some can, like your Garruses of the world and all that, right? So keep that in mind. Also, the enhanced version is extra unsafe. So don't toss that out unless you know you got it. But still, against the characters you can get away just tossing it out, by all means, just toss it out, right? And also, once again, just very good whiff punish and all that kind of stuff. Also, decent combo fodder, because, you know, hey, we get the launch, all that kind of stuff. So you can use it, say, in the back 2 combo, and like that kind of stuff, relaunch, all that greatness, right? So these are the 3 moves of this variation. So which of the 3 competitive variations is the best? Well, honestly, it's a very difficult call because they all want to do very, very different things. Like right now we're on the Royal Adenian variation, and like the main reason if you want to pick this variation is just, hey, she can compete at a range like literally everyone else, right? And plus she has, you know, fun setups and all that kind of fun stuff here. But the Scream, the projectile, is the reason you pick this variation, because she can actually suffer against, you know, zoning heavy playstyle, because she has no other thing she can do than walk and block in the other 2 variations, right? So against the majority of the cast, I honestly think Royal Adenian is the way to go. Now, obviously, like splitting hairs, you get the big damage, right? Loud and clear, you get the big showcase combos that are super cool to look at. But a basic fireball, you know, especially one that's as good, because this is, once again, this is one of the best basic fireballs in the game that basically everyone has to respect, and like no one's really going to win a zoning war against you because they can't deal with this crap, right? Because you're going to low profile everything they do, and you're going to smack them. And even if you're fighting, say, Digital Soldier Cassie, who has a very similar move, hey, yours does more damage, right? So that's another good thing. And once they, no, okay, screw this, I want to get in, that's when you can start setting up orbs, free guaranteed damage while they're getting in, that kind of stuff. So I think this one's just the pound for pound overall best value, especially because this just covers most of your matchups easily against the variety of the cast if you take it as a whole, right? Versus if you're in Loud and Clear, let's say, and you're fighting Cetrion, you're just going to struggle your way in. You're going to take so many hits. Versus you can at least toss in the odd fireball back in this variation to keep a character in check, right? So pound for pound, Royal Adenian is my pick. Plus, hey, Starfire shots, they're fun, they're neat, I like them, I don't know. But basic fireball, you don't think of it as a big thing until you lose it. So, hey, that's my pick. So, for Variation 3, Sindel and the Projectile, I've already talked in the video, hey, she's very low to the ground when she does it, so she can go under a lot of stuff, right? So, in this part of the video, I could show you, hey, here's me going under Katana's fans, here's me going under, you know, Baraka's Spark, or any other number of fireballs, right? But screw all that, let's just show you a real example here. So, we got Kano. And Kano's third variation here, the projectile is a mid. So if it's a mid, I can't even neutral duck it, right? Let alone most of the projectiles in this game you can neutral duck. This one, I get smacked in the noggin. So, you know, hey, I still don't have to deal with that, because I can low profile this mid. I can't neutral duck it. I'm still can't even neutral duck this thing, but I sure as crap can go underneath it because I'm so low to the ground, thanks to my low profile with Sindel's Variation 3 projectile. That is how low to the ground she is. That's what I'm trying to show you. So when it comes to Fireball Wars, don't worry about it. You're basically always going to win. That's the one beauty of this move. And the big thing about this variation is because she's so low to the ground, you can fearlessly trade with any fireball and be very safe. It's going to go over your head. Now, of course, people like, you know, Garrus Sandpit, they don't play by the same rules, Cetrion Water Spouts, whatever. But for traditional fireballs, you can be assured it's going to go clear over your head, and you're always going to win that war. So in this section, I want to quickly talk about her hop attack. And you're probably saying, what? Don't hop attacks suck? And yeah, they kind of do. They kind of suck, honestly. But Sindel's got a good one, and that's her hop punch. As you can see here, it's got stupid range. Also, not very negative considering... depending on what frame you hit on, because it has quite a few active frames, are either going to be -9 or -10. But yeah, she has some very big range. Probably the second most range on a hop attack in the game, besides Raiden. And Raiden's hop attack's like almost one of the few good things about him, because his hop kick is ridiculous. But yeah, you can just threaten hop punch very well, and also you can threaten it from a range that back 2 is good at, back 2 being a low if you've forgotten already. So yeah, you can just really bully with this, as it has extreme range that hop attacks don't, and obviously it's an overhead, right? So from a range you could potentially threaten B2 with, you can then just say, hey, overhead or low, go from there. Most characters have bad hop attacks that are not worth doing, straight up. But Sindel's hop punch, with the range, the fact it's not very negative at all compared to most hop attacks, like even her hop kick, right, is negative 13. That's like death. But with the range, the pushback, the everything about it, this is a hop attack worth doing, so check it out. So let's talk scream canceling, because that's a very big deal. So even though there's different screams across all the variations, you know, we have the marching scream, variation 2 also has a slightly different scream than the other two, but it all works the same way in the end, and that is, hey, messing up frame data and just changing stuff around. So let's just use a very basic example here. So back 3-4, which is, you know, it's a solid poke for her. It is -9, however, so, you know, not the safest, right? And now we're going to cancel into a scream. We're going to hold it, cancel out, and then, hey, let's have a look at the frame data. So we turn that -9 to -4. So we turned it basically from a punish to, hey, well, we still got a block, you know, and all that kind of fun stuff, right? But we're not a guaranteed punish situation in that regard, right? Now, also, let's make this a little more extreme, right? So let's do forward 2. Forward 2 by itself is -20 on block, right? So what can we change those numbers to? Oh, hey, we changed it from -20 to -1. That's pretty significant, I think you would agree, right? And since we're only -1 at that point, especially with the range we're in, a lot of people are going to be, you know, scared of follow-ups or blocking or just anything else they can do, right? And at that point, hey, just chuck them. Go from there, right? That time was actually -0. You can actually be +1 depending on how fast you are, right? So you can make a lot of things that are just definitely negative for Sindel very reasonable. Usually, most of the time, you're still going to be negative, but you're not going to be as negative. And it's just as simple as holding the scream, canceling out, and going from there. A thing to note about the scream crushing blow. I did say it's very strong to use in neutral, and it absolutely is. And also, in especially variations 1 and 3, with the version that's submitted, has a much wider and taller hitbox, meaning it can stuff a lot of jumps because it's very difficult to jump over. Case in point here. So I'm just going to record this here, and you know, regular old jump one for Devora, one of the better jumps in the game. And if she tries to jump into it, hey, crushing blow counter, and hey, it's restand. Because if they get smacked by this here, they will be reset on the ground as normal, and from there you can combo out and do all that fun stuff, right? So anytime you get an aerial crushing blow, which will be, it can be a very common thing, especially depending on how you want to use the scream in neutral. Just always be aware, if you see that crushing blow, they're always going to have their feet planted back on the ground, so you don't have to worry about any of your combos being screwed over. So this one I feel is mildly important, actually, and this is proper forward 2 usage here. So forward 2, you're obviously your King Kong Giant Normal, right? And you combo into it, has multiple enders here, and basically screw all that. Just worry about the forward 2, because your enders here, like if we turn on our block here, forward 2-1 by itself, death on blocks, -15. Forward 2-1 up 2, yeah, it's -8, has pushback, but it's easily flawless blocked. And if we go for the low option, that's also death on block, right? So how about we do something that's safe on block, and we get mostly the same reward here. And I'm talking about forward 2 right in the hair whip, and just go for it. And why that? So first up and foremost, if you block it, hey, whatevs. -7, pushback, who cares? If you get it, well, it's about a solid almost 20 if you burn the bar, right? And say if you're in the variation without haircut here, 4-2, 1 into this is just, it's like 1.5% more, so it's not a big deal, right? Another thing too makes this reliable. It will connect at ranges where forward 2-1 into haircut will miss. Like, hey, you're not getting no combo if that doesn't connect, right? So that's another feather in its cap. But the big thing here is it makes it safe non-stop. So here's the trick here. So 4-2 right into the haircut here, there's no way out. So let me switch to a Sindel dummy and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's the thing. 4-2 is an overhead, yes, but the hair whip is a high, and you can just neutral duck it, right? So you're probably thinking, well, hey, I blocked the 4-2 and I just neutral ducked the high with the hair whip. here's the thing, you can't do it. So I'll set the dummy up here. So I'm blocking the move here, and I'm going to try to block the overhead, and then I'm going to try to neutral duck the hair whip, and let's see what happens. Oh, I get smacked. Oh, I get smacked. Oh, I get smacked. So as you can see here, you cannot return to neutral duck by itself fast enough without getting smacked. So either you got to block the whole thing, and she's just nice and safe, -7 from a very far range away. Who cares? It might as well be 0 at that point, right? And that's the magic of this. So here's another thing. Then you say, well, why not just forward 2-1 into hair whip, right? Because then you just do more damage. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. So if I set the dummy up here, and we'll do 4-2-1 into hair whip. Here's the thing. Now I can neutral duck it. The second move gives me enough time to crouch block, and the crouch block, well then, hey, now the hair whip is just not connected anymore, right? So adding the additional move actually gives the enemy time to basically get out of this, which is not what you want. So you only want to do forward 2 into hair whip. So it makes it, basically, it's one of your ultimate neutral tools at this point, because you hit from a very far range, obviously. You know, serviceable chunk of damage. You know, it's not going to be the end of the world, right? But it's basically 20% serviceable chunk of damage. And it's always safe, safe, safe. And that's the most important thing, because a lot of what Sindel has is not safe. Between, you know, just the 4-2 string as it is, back 2, all this kind of stuff. A lot of what she has is not safe on block. So finding any reliable source of safety that can still get you damage is a big deal. And forward 2 into hair whip is exactly what the doctor ordered. That is your safety net, because it'll always push back. They always have to block it. And if they try to get out of it, well, then they get hair whipped anyways. It's always -7. It just works, and it's just safe. And for a character that doesn't have much in that way, I highly suggest use it and abuse it. Alright, for our next one here, I just want to show you something. This is super fake. It's super ghetto. But you'll catch someone sleeping at least the first time every time, because nobody's going to expect this. So this is variation 3 only. Has to do with stand 4. So stand 4, if you're not aware here, hits high overhead. So the second hit is indeed an overhead, which means it has to be stand blocked. So all you gotta do is, when you know they're gonna block anyways, get the high in there. It's special cancelable, so go right into your projectile, which is a true low, and just, you know, sneak some undeserved damage in, right? It's absolutely fuzzyable, as in fuzzy blockable. You can absolutely get both options, right? But nobody is gonna get that the first time you go for this, right? Establish you're willing to do it once, and then after that, just take a free, you know, extra little smack of damage, right? This won't work in long sets. This is absolutely fraudulent tech, but it'll work first time every time. So here's another big one. I want to talk about meaty screams, as in they wake up into your scream. The scream has a lot of active frames, and just so you know, this is going to be better in variations 1 and 3, as the screams are mids instead of high, which is unfortunate for variation 2. And it's basically thanks to the main squeeze attack here. So main squeeze has a lot of frame advantage on hit, no matter how you want to swing it, right? Has a lot of frame advantage on hit, and we're going to use this to our advantage, because even if you do it like right in their face, right, it automatically creates some space between you and the opponent. Now, even if you didn't want it, but trust me, you do in this situation, even if you didn't want it, there's always the space created when you do this move. And this is what's going to help us basically screw over the enemy. So let's just do any combo in the EX hair whip here. And the opponent's going to get up and do up 2, right? Well, as you can see, it doesn't really hit from that range, and since it doesn't really hit that from that range, we're just going to very slight delay and wake up scream, and hey, when you know it, hit him counter hit, right? We are at the exact safe range, and it works out perfectly. If they block, whatevs. We're only -10, and we get pushed back a bit, so -10 from this far away, not a big deal. And we can basically screw over everything. So it's not just up 2s, up 3s as well. Most up 3s do not have the range to deal with this. So once again, here's our example. Slight delay, another crushing blow. That's another big combo opportunity. Up 3s, up 2s, with the exception of really Garrus up 2, no one really has the range to compete and say, oh, well, I'm a smart cookie, you know, I'm just going to roll out, like, you know, screw this stuff. Well, rolls don't really work here. That's kind of the thing. So once again, we'll do a very slight delay on the scream. And then you rolled right into it, guaranteed punish. If this happens in the corner, and your variation 1 or 3, because once again, since the screams are highs in the other variation 2, you can just neutral duck on your wake up. You have to at least block this. It'll hit Meaty. It will get you. There's no rolling out. There's no up 2. There's no up 3. There's no nothing. You gotta wake up and block. The only other real thing you can do is just delay your wake up, right? And that's not that big of a deal. If it's a fast delay wake up, you still get meatied. If it's the all the way delay wake up, then whatever, you still recover first. And so the enemy just has to play pure defense. There's no real way out because the scream just has so much range, right? And also keep this in mind. This is perfect range here. You can take a micro step forward, back 2, or just forward tomb from this range here to have an overhead. You basically, with the threat of this, which is already good enough, establish it, right? Let the enemy know you're willing to do it. But with the threat of this, then you can just start getting to real cookie cutter mode. Like, I'm going to break you open one way or the other. And of course, the old, put your balls on the table. I'm just going to walk up and forward throw you, right? That works just fine as well. But yeah, simple hair whip. And in the corner, the world's your oyster. They have to submit to the Scream Oki. And from there, then hey, you can set up all sorts of other stuff. Now, this next one, it's very minor, but it's kind of very key. And that has to do with 4-4 up 3, this guy right here. So, in and of itself, it's like not that big of a combo deal. Like, it's 14%, whatevs, right? But the thing is, Sindel doesn't have many fast moves up close, right? Like, even her D1's 8 frames, it's like Collector, it's very slow. A lot of her up close stuff is bad. She doesn't want to be up close, like straight up. She wants to fight you at a mid range. That's where she's best at, right? And that's where 4-4 up 3 comes to. Plan here, because it's a big deal. So 4-4, 14 frames. That's slow, but for Sindel, that's fast. That's just how bad she's got it, right? But if we do the whole string here, look at the position we've gained here. So this is mid screen here, and we finish our string, and hey, that's not nothing, right? And we're only negative 13. This is effectively unpunishable by pretty much the rest of the cast. A couple of people can check you, right? But they can't really deal damage to you. So when you get that, down 1 in or whatever, and you have some plus frames and you don't want to deal with the up close stuff because Sindel is way worse at it than most characters, you can just say 4-4 up 3, I'm out of here. That's all there is to it, right? It's basically reset the neutral where you're slightly negative, but once again, negative 13 at the range you're at is not a really big deal most of the time. So keep this string in mind because its main use isn't damage. It isn't like, oh man, look at the sick damage I got, because it's not big damage anyways. It's the fact that it gets you to reset the neutral. It's 14 frame, 2 mid hits here, which once again is not fast, but nothing Sindel does is fast. Like, back 3 is 19 frames, forward 2 is 25 frames. Nothing she does is quick, right? So at the very least, this will put you back in a range you want to be in, and then just kind of play out from there. Once again, it's effectively safe against everybody. Some characters you might want to, block because they can like check you, like say Garrus could throw a sand pit or something, right? But for the most part, it just resets the neutral for you, and it's where you want to be. So please, please, please keep it in mind. So that's just a sample of some of the stuff with Sindel. She is not like other characters, and I think that's going to hurt her development on the tech front for a while. There's still stuff being found out every day, absolutely, but her playstyle is just not like everybody else. She's kind of doing her own thing. If I had to like hot take tier placement, I'd say mid-tier-ish. She definitely has some issues to work through, right? But she's still got some fun stuff. It's just, once again, the fact that she's pretty alien to how a lot of other characters want to play in this game. That's the big gap, and once people start overcoming it, then we're going to see some real stuff happen here, because what I got for you right now in this video is just kind of the baby basics. Honestly, it's some building blocks, some cool stuff maybe, but there's going to be better stuff to come in the future. At least I hope so, because I think she's a very cool character. But anyways, my friends, that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video found you well. Go out and play some Mortal Kombat.